What is going on, guys? It's Adam A.K. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we are going to talk about some alarming things that the power companies are saying. Of course, these are all notifications across the country, essentially saying that there may be power outages. So we'll talk about that here in just a minute. And then, of course, we'll get to all of the other news that has happened in the last 24 hours. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. This is a call-in show tonight. Again, this is a live show, so remember, anything can happen. Now, remember, the number is going to be down below, 224-400-MARF. But just to introduce you, if you are new to our show, if someone has introduced you to us, just remember you can actually follow along on a second device. You can go over and grab an extra tablet, and you can go to marfooglenews.com on any browser. Now, when you go here, you can actually see it's very easy to organize and are easily organized and very navigable by thumbnail. So just go to this thumbnail, and you will see that we have every single article, tweet, video, document that we're going to show you here today is going to be on our website. That way you know exactly where your news is coming from. You can actually follow along, you can go ahead, or you can read back and make sure that we were doing the right thing or check my work. On the right side, if you are wanting to go above and beyond pressing the like and subscribe button, you can support us by any of our affiliates. There are some very smart ones over there as far as prepping, as far as preparing for an EMP or a CME which is inevitable at some point. You can go over to EMP Shield. Again, a contest just started today. That's we'll talk about later. And then NordVPN if you want to stay private. All of that is over on the right. If you do want to make a PayPal during the show, it will be read live. And then, of course, any of the other stuff is over there on the right. Thanks for everybody that has already done this, which, by the way, it looks like there's already 77 entries to the website here. It looks like everybody has already gone in and entry. This was at 44 before I started this about 5 minutes ago. So again, and then down at the bottom is web-only content. Remember that down there is an entire other show. This is all stuff that is basically too hot for TV. Now, just in case, because I realized I didn't show it earlier, these are all of the articles, documents, anything that you want to see is right there. All right, let's bring in my co-host / internet brother / Dex, who will be on the phones tonight. Dex, how are you doing and what's going on?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So a lot to cover. We'll get right into it, and after about 3 articles, we will go over to the phones. Again, the number is 224-400-MARF, and you will want to get in early if you want to get on the show. So first of all, there's a weak radio signals in the depths of space, which could indicate the existence of aliens. So we've covered a lot of these kind of articles. First of all, there have been FRBs or fast radio bursts that we've been covering for a long time. It seems like there's more and more. The more, and I hate that my brain goes here, if you haven't watched the show The Colony, it's kind of a slow start. In fact, I think the whole first season, you don't even see who the bad guys are. But watching it more and more, I even talked to Jacob Israel off camera about that Colony is extremely predictive. Some of the stuff in there is almost like you could substitute the driving force behind the bad guys and switch it out for what's going on right now. It's really freaking crazy. And that show was made, or at least was wrote, before all of this began. Really weird stuff. Very well, could an alien race come down and actually change things up? Some have, emailed me, and their theory is that a Muamua came by and dropped something off. If you don't know what a Muamua was, that was the first interstellar comet that came and swooped by Earth, was actually slowed down, or was right by Earth, and then sped up right after it passed Earth. Out of all the places, it essentially was the slowest right there, and then sped up and left our universe. So really weird stuff. Some people's theory is that it dropped something off, and of course that's why they named it a Muamua, which means scout, like it was the first of many. And then out of nowhere, that was the first interstellar object we've ever seen. Within a short time period, we had a second interstellar object, which I thought was just... it's almost like the stuff that it seems like it would be almost obvious. It's just put there so frequently, right? What if an alien race actually was the driving force behind a lot of these changes? That would be it's at least a thought. And again, you could call it whatever you want to call it. Put your opinion down below. It says that weak radio signals in the depth of space could indicate the existence of aliens. The sounds detected by the world's most powerful telescope appear to be from hidden planets. Astronomers picked up signals from 19 red dwarf stars 165 light years away, with forethought to have planets orbiting them, possibly home to alien life. It says Australia's Dr. Benjamin Pope said it's the first time radio signals from planets outside of our solar system have been picked up. So now it's not just from an area of space, it's from specific planets. It says this could potentially lead to the discovery of planets throughout the galaxy. Boffins reckons the signals are generated by a planet's magnetic fields interacting with a solar wind. Earth emits a powerful radio wave, causing phenomenon such as the northern and southern lights. On Jupiter, its volcanic moon, Io, creates a similar aurora effect. Signals were heard in the Netherlands-based low-frequency array radio telescope. It says Dr. Joseph Collingham of Leiden University reckoned this is a spectacle that has attracted our attention from light years away. What do you think about this? Do you think that it is some sort of message from other planets? And should we answer? If you saw The Colony or many movies that show essentially that we find some sort of alien signal, we respond, and then that ends up being our demise. What if we did respond? What if we found a legitimate signal from space that was from another society of beings? We responded to it, and it ended up being the worst thing we've ever done. Maybe they came and say, okay, there's some resources. Let's go farm them. I know that everybody won't be on the same page on that one, so let me know what you think down below. And then we have life on Mars, simulating red planet base in Israeli desert. Now, I think this is kind of funny because a lot of people question if, that the Mars rover isn't somewhere like in Utah or something like that. They are doing these kind of drills with no anti-gravity or anything else, basically just finding a place that looks like Mars and walking around. It says a couple of trainee astronauts walk in their spacesuits during a training mission for planet Mars inside the Ramon crater in Mitzpe Ramon in Israel's southern Negev desert. Inside a huge crater in Israel's sun-baked Negev desert, a team wearing spacesuits ventures forth on a mission to simulate conditions on Mars. The Australian Space Forum has set up a pretend Martian base with the Space Agency and the Maktesh Ramon, a 500-meter, 40-kilometer wide crater. It says the 6 so-called analog astronauts will live in isolation in the virtual station until the end of the month. It's a dream come true, Israeli Alon Tenzer, 36 years old, told AFP. It's something we've been working on for years. Now, first of all, I already saw Twitter messages saying, I bet that somebody walked in on this and now they're calling it a simulation or something, that they actually meant to use this as, video for the first Mars landing or something. And I was like, well, we haven't there's nobody saying that we're actually landing soon, so you wouldn't even need this video yet. But again, it looks like Mars, right? And for all the people that question if you could, film something on Earth that looks like it's on another planet, well, it's right there. I bet you a lot of movies end up using deserts like the Negev in Israel, for this kind of reason. It says that the participants from Austria, Germany, the Netherlands, Portugal, and Spain all had to pass grueling physical and psychological tests. During their mission, they will conduct tests including on drone prototypes that function without GPS and automated wind and solar-powered mapping vehicles. So they'll have to go back to old school. Interesting that they will not do GPS. You'd think that they could set up satellites there first. If we were truly going to Mars, why would they not try to set up satellites there first? Or at least a couple so they can communicate or navigate the maps there. Is that even possible? I'm no expert. Lucid Farm says off-grid desert farming and Potter's most recent videos show alien-like life forms inside the juice. Crazy to think, like the squids in the Matrix. So I actually saw it before even that. Maybe it was off-grid. Maybe it was off-grid that I saw it first. I don't know about Roy Potter's stuff. But again, I did see the video of that, and I actually compared it. You should look to my Twitter about a week back, and I put a direct shot from the Matrix right next to it. So I don't know if maybe the comparison there is getting grabbed from my meme, but I know my meme has been shared more than anything on my Twitter. Somebody took it and then basically put it everywhere. Cool thing was I put my website on there, so that was awesome. Troy Orbian, because people just take it. They don't retweet. They'll copy and paste it and then basically claim it as their own. Luckily, I had my watermark on there. Troy O'Brien, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for supporting independent. Again, we don't have the backup of companies. We don't have the backup of definitely corporations or platforms. So thank you for your support. Survival of the Furnace. Thanks for subscribing. I'm guessing you do furnace work. And then Brian Keith Prepper, thank you again for being the last one out last night. Over on DLive, we have a lot of people that have already popped in. Thank you, Charlie64, Pearl, WJS Jen, MT Pockets, Carolina Roots, Priscilla R, That Chowky Gal, JFN57. We have Matrix45, speaking of Matrixes, O Firefighter, and Bear Claws, and Karen from Columbus. Thanks, Kishar, for popping in. Thank you, everybody that has dropped ice creams and lemons over there. Thank you for everybody supporting the show. What do you think about them doing this exercise in Is? Why Is? Couldn't they find something in, Arizona or something? Kind of odd. And then steaks could soon become a champagne-like luxury. So we've already kind of talked about this as far as what they are saying. By 2030, they are even talking about limits to meat. Now, Dex, I know you're probably going to be on the phone. Again, if you do want to call in, the number is going to be scrolling down below. That's 2244-006273 or 2244-00-MARF. That number is right here, and it's going to be slowly scrolling by for the next minute. But Dex, do you remember we talked about several things, including the limits that I believe President B was going to try to put in later? Or wasn't it President B that said that we would be limited to like 8 ounces of meat by the year 2030 or something like that?
Yeah, it was part of a plan that was to limit the amount of, I guess, pollution. But when you backdoored into that, it basically said you could only have about 1 hamburger a month or something like that. It was really small.
Yeah, it was the equivalent to 1 hamburger or whatever else, because they also are talking about reducing the amount of cows on Earth. That was one thing. I saw a thread on Twitter saying that the methane from the cows are what is causing this, and we have all these extra cows on Earth for steaks and for meat. They are also talking about synthetic meat. So I think it is funny that the White House and the official governments of the world are basically saying that we're going to limit you on real meat, and then look at the people who are investing in synthetic meat. Not only that, they are buying up all the farmlands. If they own a farm, say if you buy a farm, that means that a regular, family is not owning that farm, and they don't have the choice to, say, keep cows or keep something else. Seems to me that every time a farm pops up, one of these billionaires, and in fact, I think it's only one of these billionaires, is buying it. Not China. And in fact, I did see some alarming rates that China was buying farms and then reselling it to a certain billionaire. This billionaire is the biggest owner of farmland in the U.S., and they are owning all of this. They are somehow involved and invested in pretty much every event that is happening right now. Not to mention very close friends with the people that run BlackRock, and BlackRock is also invested in everything that is going on right now, including invested in China. In fact, told all of their people, they manage over $1 trillion, told all of their people to invest in China, even though it's looking like we're about to go to conflict. It's almost like it was somebody serving up, like a volleyball, left hand, right hand. But again, this is something that's coming. They are telling us for sure that they're going to limit and they're going to make us reduce our beef consumption. The boss of Europe's top meat processor said that beef will become a luxury like champagne because of the climate impact of producing it. It says, quote, beef is not going to be a super climate friendly. Danish Crown Chief Executive Officer Haus Holur said in an interview with a Danish newspaper, Berlingske. It says, it will be a luxury product that we eat when we want to treat ourselves. Personally, I know many of you might be the same, but steak is already a luxury item. Steak, especially a good one that's edible, is starting at $10 for one person. So steak has not been a lot of my diet, especially when I was on food stamps. I would not get steak with it because I felt it was like, even when I was at my unemployed state about 7 or 8 years ago, getting $200 in food stamps here, which again in Seattle that wasn't much. $20 for 2 steaks, that's 20% or 10% of your entire month's stuff for one meal. It just didn't make sense. I know that a lot of you are on food stamps and on the benefits. Do you spend it on steaks, or do you see those people that buy steaks and shrimp and spend $100 on one meal the day that they get their benefits? I was not one of those people. In fact, I was one of the people that said, like, that's kind of messed up, especially since, I worked really hard, and when my tax dollars went towards that, it would be appreciated if it wasn't completely wasted on one meal. But I guess it's all perspective. I always, really stretched it out. As far as that's why I've always considered steak a luxury item already. But this is, I think it's going to be way more luxury than what we are saying. Like, it's going to be $100 for a steak. That's why they say like champagne. Imagine if you had to pay $100 for a single T-bone. I don't think it's that crazy to see. Heston Newland, thank you for subscribing. Justin True, what is going on? I haven't seen you in a long time. If you guys haven't checked out Justin True, he was making videos and creating from Hawaii. He was a really good source in Hawaii. He would go out and video stuff that was going on over there. Each one, teach one. That's awesome. And then Cloaked Cloud, trademark, thank you for your support as well. Lance Johnson, I appreciate it. Bones, you don't have to do that. Thank you so much for your support, dude. I appreciate you and all the other mods. Make sure to press an M in the chat for the mods. They keep it a nice and pleasant place down there. Sandy Lay and Lucid Farms, again, thank you. What do you think about this? Would you buy a $100 steak, or would you buy steak if it went to the point where it was a luxury item? And then we have gas prices skyrocket as the global energy crisis worsens. So there's several warnings out there right now for people to get prepared and to get ready, because this is something that has been expected. And I don't even think that we have seen the true shortages yet. And I've been saying that for a couple months. And as I've been saying that, the shortages have gotten real. They have gotten worse, but they are going to get even more insane. We have seen that no containers have virtually left China. No containers have been really coming out of California, out of the ports. We have seen that the boats are still out there, still backed up, to the point where they're not even sending more. Where all of the supplies that are coming into the U.S., those are short. They're also saying that this is somehow affecting gas. On top of that, all of the things combined look like they're going to create a huge disaster. It says the cost of energy was dirt cheap in the spring of 2020 as roads and airports sat nearly empty during the height of the pandemic. It says that energy demand is back today as the world economy reopens, but supply simply hasn't kept up. That's why U.S. oil prices have skyrocketed $120 since crashing to negative $40 a barrel in April 2020. U.S. oil prices finished above $80 a barrel on Monday, and for the first time in nearly 7 years. It says crude gained 1.5% at the end of the day at $80.52. It says the last time oil closed above $80 was October 31st, 2014. If you remember, that was the summer that we had, I want to say, $5 gas all over the place. It was nuts. All of this leading to sticker shock for many Americans filling up at the pump. At the time of the year when gas prices typically cool off, the national average price for gasoline hit a fresh 7-year high of $3.27 a gallon on Monday, up 7 cents the past week alone, according to the AAA. Gas has nearly doubled since bottoming out at $1.77 in April of 2020. High gas prices will only exacerbate elevated inflation, squeeze the budgets of American families, and hurt President JB's political fortunes. It says that unfortunately prices at the pump may get lifted even higher by the global energy crisis. It says natural gas prices have skyrocketed so much, especially in Europe and Asia, that the power plants and factories increasingly turn to a relatively cheaper fuel source for electricity. Crude oil. It says it's a case of just trying to keep the lights on, said Matt. And it says that Kepler's lead oil analyst for the Americas. It says this is essentially creating demand that typically isn't there. Citigroup on Monday ramped up its Brent oil forecast to $85 a barrel for the fourth quarter and said crude will likely hit $90 at times. The Wall Street Bank cited price contagion this winter and expected switching of power plants away from sky-high natural gas to oil. Citi added that a very cold winter could see Europe running out of gas by February. So I shouldn't have to tell people this, but people need to wake up. Year after year, it's gotten worse. And since this whole thing kicked off in 2019, it's slowly basically combined every last nightmare that we've had and every last nightmare that preppers have seen coming. It's all coming together. I don't know if you ever saw the show Doomsday Preppers. Every episode had, I think, 2 or 3 Doomsday Prepper. I think it was 2. And each one had a different scenario that they envisioned happening. Essentially, one person was a woman that lived in an apartment and she did all sorts of prep. She saw the crash of the dollar. There was a gentleman that saw that a meteor was going to hit. There was a gentleman that saw that, of course, that the economy would collapse. There was somebody that said that a volcano would go off. There was all sorts of people, and they all had their thoughts. It seems to me like almost all of these are actually combining. What do you think? I'm going to go over to the chat and check out with that. And then, again, what do you think about this? We have tons of people in the general chat. Carolina Roots, Keith Mayer, IP Man, says Raymond B. says $3.19 here in West Texas. Man, that's cheap. It's almost $5 here in Seattle. It says, Sandy Hughes says, I take baby aspirin daily, my son too. Actually, I have as well. Agree, everything at once. Cody Thrasher. And again, I hope that people don't think they have to agree with me. I learn stuff every day. I've changed my view over the last 3 years, but I do think that this is really bad. And we have a lot of people communicating to us, going up to us because we're the top, right? And we're the only two people, me and Dex, that people can message in this whole group of thousands of people that are all concerned about these same things. So we get all of this information from people all over the country, and people are saying the same thing. It seems like every state in the United States, every province in Canada, every area in Europe is preparing for something. What are they preparing for? My theory, and I'll stick to mine, again, I thoroughly believe that they are getting ready for multiple things. They're getting ready for a disaster on the West Coast, and it's a kind of a what if it happens before the conflict with China. People think because it's getting put out there on the backside of the internet that we're just going to let China have Taiwan. We might, but somebody else won't. And we have too much invested. Half of the government might say, don't, just let them have it. But the other half will take this extremely seriously. We're talking about money. We're talking about resources. And we're talking about half of the U.S. government probably infiltrated. We're talking about them actually suggesting that China take over the main currency, right? Everybody is talking about that the Chinese yuan is going to take over the dollar, or a new currency that they're about to announce. So we're heading into many disasters. This one, just to be clear, all over the country, there were warnings sent out by power companies stating that there may be tough times ahead, that there might be cold winters. It was telling people to have extra supplies in case the power companies run out of power. So I think it's about time that everybody, really start paying attention, especially here in the U.S. If you're in Europe, you have your own issues. In fact, Europe, at the same exact time as all of these U.S. power companies said this, we just covered that half of their power line, the underwater cables that were coming from France, that got screwed up somehow. So they said that they just lost about 40% of their power. So everyone needs to start preparing for just general, mishaps. 7-day outages, 14-day outages. They saw in Lebanon when, I want to say in Lebanon, when it was 24 hours of no power. It was really, really, really bad. So remember, if this happens and it ends up being a week or 2 weeks, is everyone ready for what is going to happen with that? There will be everything that you saw last year in the streets, only times 10, because there will be no power. Stony McBlaze-a-lot says, glad to be here with the live show by Adam and Dex. Well, thank you, and I appreciate that. Robin119 says, thank you, Adam, Dex, Marfoogle, and Mods. And then Meat Puppet 007 says, lots of truckers outside of the ports, no cranes. Yeah, there's a lot wrong with that. They also say that there's no chassis. Shan and BOD went there in person. They talked to one of the security checkpoints, and the security guard, who, from their opinion, sounded like he said it was almost on purpose. He said that they were not getting the actual metal chassis that those containers go on. Again, I believe that is something that nobody can actually debunk because there's now data on these chassis not being delivered there, so they can't pick up things. So it's not even that gentleman was saying it wasn't even about a shortage of drivers. It was a shortage of chassis to carry the containers. Which one do you believe? Or do you believe either? Chicky R says, have you seen Squid Game on Netflix? Bizarre. Yes. Well, I only saw a second of it. I have seen that Squid Game is like all over the place and everybody's doing parodies and TikTok, and I don't know. It sounds creepy. From what my understanding is they're playing a game, and if you lose, you don't wake up again. And then Chewbacca 2020, what is going on? And Angela 1699, thank you for being here. So they're telling us that there's a very cold winter ahead, and that Europe could be running out of gas. That's on top of the 40% that they just lost from France. It says that because of much of the past dozen years, natural gas prices have been very low, making switching to oil uneconomical. But in Europe, natural gas prices have gone from below $2 per million BTU to as much as $55 this fall. From under $2 to $55. Just let that sink in. The equivalent of $320 a barrel oil. So that would be like having, that would be equivalent if oil was $320 a barrel. It's at 80 right now, hitting as high as $5. That would essentially be like having $20 a gallon gas, or $15 to $25 gas. That is insanity. So if they're going to switch to regular gas, think about what's going to happen to the gas for consumers, for residents, for everyone else. It says Bank of America has warned that a cold winter could boost oil demand by 500,000 barrels per day, lifting Brent crude to $100 a barrel. That's Bank of America telling that. It says that in turn would cause more sticker shock for American drivers because gas prices are priced off of Brent crude. It says, quote, we may just be one storm away from the next Marco hurricane. Bank of America strategist wrote in a recent note to clients. This isn't in a newspaper. This is a note to clients. Pay attention. The upper echelons of people are all telling people to get their stuff and all their ducks in a row. It says it's not just high natural gas prices that are playing a role here. Chinese coal prices have hit record highs amid flooding in northern China that forced the closure of dozens of coal mines. Coal remains the main source of energy in China, used for heating, power generation, and steel making. China is now grappling with power shortages, prompting the government to ration electricity during peak hours, and some countries to suspend production. So, we don't have a full picture of how bad it really is in China, but for the people that have been in China or that have friends that are in there right now that are in places, they say that a lot of information is not let out. China is now currently trying to cut themselves off from the rest of the world. At least that's what it publicly looks like. Cutting out Western, anything Western related, including entertainment, video games, cutting it all out. They are cutting out English. They don't want English taught in their country anymore. That says a lot, first of all. All of the English teachers, pretty much any country that went there to teach that language, which basically the highest demand is English, all of those people that are living there with a visa for teaching, those are going to soon end because they basically cut that part out of their economy. And China does not, you can't be a foreigner in China and do any kind of normal job. You can't be a construction worker. You can't be a janitor. You can't be a street worker. You can't be anything. You can't own property unless, in fact, even if you own a business, you have to own it with someone who is a resident. So there's a lot going on there as well. With this, it almost seems like this was meant to happen. So we're going into a really, really, really iffy time. So I would say, if you can, tell your friends and family to never let their gas tanks under, a third of a tank away from full, or even less, like a quarter of it. Once you get to 2/3 of a tank, you should go get gas. You should get gas, and you should have blankets. There's a lot of things that you should have around. Candles. You should have all sorts of things. If you have kids, make sure that you have all of their medicines in order. Think about this. If you can, make a list of the stuff that you have and that you don't have and put it on the fridge. Put it somewhere where you can see it every day until this happens. Make sure to have stuff, a lot of stuff for, extra stuff. All right. So, Dex, let's go over to the caller. Before we go to the caller, it looks like, again, if you want to call in, 224-400-MARF. Let's just remind you, you can go over to the Essentials of Life, marfooglenews.com/prep. you can get $100 off on a 3-month supply of food. But basically, this is a one-stop shop for all prep. The cool part about this is not only do you get a discount, but for sending you over there, they send us a small commission, and that way it helps your favorite channel at the same time. This is something that is in extremely high demand. Some of the other companies are actually out of food right now. My Patriot Supply is big enough that they are still serving out prep food. Dude, this entire pandemic, people have been going absolutely nuts. For a 6-month period, almost all of these companies ran out. So don't wait until it's going to be crazy overpriced or way over. Make sure to get your stuff now. Again, go to marfooglenews.com/prep. You can get anything from iodine pills to water filtration to emergency radios, pretty much anything and everything you need. All right, Dex, let's get our next caller on, and as we pop in, so just want to say thank you to everybody calling in. Justin True from Hawaii, I'm glad he came in and he ended up calling in. Gone Girl 777, thank you for the PayPal donation. I appreciate you. It says, Adam, Dex, and mods and wives, I was back in the hospital. It seems I'm having a rough ride, and it may not be smooth out right away. Much love, you all. Always, Foogle fam. And then Jarek C. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your support, Jarek C. and Gone Girl 777. And then we'll get Justin True on. Looks like
Adam, Justin True is live.
All right, Justin True, you are live on.
Hey, Marf, how's it going, brother?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It's good to talk to you again.
So, if you guys don't know Justin True, he does content out of Hawaii. Back when a lot of the stuff, well, I'm sure you probably started. You found me probably with the Hawaii missile alert and stuff like that, right?
Right.
You've been around for a long time. So what's going on? It says that you wanted to talk. It says that you wanted to talk about morale, keeping each other on point.
Yeah, basically, I'll be real short, Mark. You've been having. First of all, your shows have been getting better and better. So I just have to let you know, dude. I applaud you for your shows and the community. I mean, ever since the Discord has kind of, went the way the dodo bird, I'm just so shocked at the support on your channel and the amazing people that are around it. So the community is still strong, dude. You have a bulletproof community. So I'm really happy for you, brother.
Well, again, it's complicated, and we know what happened there, but they. Oh
yeah, no,
that was just so dumb.
No, I totally understand.
It didn't even make sense.
But,
they didn't take my. By the way, they didn't even take my personal account. They took the person. They took somebody else's that made the thing. They took Dex's account that made the Discord. That was so stupid. We didn't share anything directly. We didn't actually share any news. So how do you get rid of a group and say that group was sharing something if they didn't share a single thing? We didn't put anything out. We just gave people a place so they could exchange. It was absolutely ridiculous. So anyways, moving on.
It was.
So by the way, Hawaii, I'm sure it's beautiful there. But you're saying basically we need to keep everybody on point.
Yeah, man. I'll be quick. I mean, pretty much what's going on today, and I won't get into any of the details of anything because really none of the details matter. It doesn't matter what issue we're talking about. Everything that's happening right now today in current events can be boiled down to 2 words, which is psychological operations. And the one thing with psychological operations is we can't control anything that's going on in this world. We can't do that, regardless of how certain people believe. But what we can control is our reaction to that, our reaction to the stimulus around us, our reaction to the environment, our reaction to whatever's happening. And when psychological operations, that are going around rampant today, it doesn't matter which one it is, doesn't matter what current event we're talking about or situation. the most that we can do in every situation is to control ourselves. And the second thing that we could do is actually be a battle buddy, be a wingman to the person next to you. And what I've been seeing, which is the most worrying to me, is not anything in the news. It's not anything of these specific events that are happening. But the most worrying thing to me is how cold people are turning towards each other. And what I think is most important for us to know is the number one thing for anyone's plans against us, regardless of who they are or, what entity it is for us to not have each other's back. It's for us to lose that morale. It's for us to lose sight of what's important. And what's important is not only just ourselves, but how we treat each other. And that is so significant, and it's so important. And it may sound simple, it may sound like a kindergarten show to tell you the truth, or a child show, but that is what all psychological operations are about. What we need to do is realize that it's all about controlling our emotions and then controlling the response. And that's all the Hegelian dialectic is. If you can control the problem, reaction, solution. But if you can't control the reaction, then the problem and the solution are void. They're null and void. So every day when we're out there and we see each other struggling, or if we see something that prompts emotion from us, any kind of emotion response, I don't care where it is or who it's coming from. I don't. Any platform, any kind of media, just if you start to feel an emotional response come from you, put yourself in check, take yourself out of the situation and take an outside perspective and say, where is this emotion coming from? Is it correct? Is this a valuable point, or is someone trying to pull at my heartstrings? Is someone trying to get an emotional response from me? And 9 times out of 10, unfortunately, we live in a world where it is. So just make sure that you have your head on a swivel, but not only for your back, but for other people's, and also be aware and be conscious that people right now are trying to win your emotions and get you in a place of constant fear so they can manipulate you. Without that fear and without that emotional manipulation, then half of the things that people are attempting to do, it can't work. So just make sure that no matter what happens in this world, no matter what happens going forward, that you are aware of your emotional response, your physical response, and how you're treating other people. The gauge for how you're treating other people is really a good gauge for today's society. How you treat people outside of your own personal circle will tell you basically the situation in the world. So, I mean, that's about it, man. Just be aware of psyops, be aware that our emotions are being played, and stay in a state of logic, response, and stay in a state of personal servitude, not only to yourself, but to other people. And that will put a damper on any operation that's coming to us from a psychological point. And that's about it, man. That's about all I have to say.
Well, a couple things. So people think that it's cliche to say, to stay united. First of all, anytime that anyone gets united, any group of people, they are 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times stronger than, say, the governments that actually govern over them. But what happens is, he's exactly right. There are emotions through media. This is media, government, and these corporations are now a one and all family. They are completely and utterly connected in every way. And so they use different things to do it. So say like the situation, they can make physical changes from an emotional response. Down at the border, of course, there was a photo that, of course, was taken out of context. It was basically it was the equivalent of somebody doing a top-down shot on Instagram for the angle to hide, their flaws or negative stuff. It was a shot from a direct angle, making somebody with reins look like they are a white Caucasian person whipping an African or American or a dark-skinned person, right? That was the image they got, a white man whipping something, right? And that change immediately had everybody outraged and everybody supporting something where what were they supporting? Well, take horses from the border. Take these guys off of horses. Well, that's an unnavigable part of the border. You cannot take any kind of vehicle there, and you can't walk for miles and miles and miles as a human being. So therefore, you just opened up a part of the border. It's like, why would we make a decision based off of a single picture, which the photographer said it was out of context, because of emotions? People got, it brought up the anger and sadness. Every event in the last 20 years, and in fact forever, but specifically since 2001, has been emotional. Everything has been an emotional response.
Absolutely. It's the problem with now we've kind of been dumbed down to the point where people are so, they're just dull to understanding how their emotions are being manipulated. When I was in the Air Force, and I was in the Air Force with the security for years, and there's specific psychological tools that we use all over the world, and essentially it's the same that we use on ourselves here today. They manipulate their emotions to take over and to usurp your objective reasoning. And once your objective reasoning is gone, because you no longer have the perspective of logic, you're no longer in control of yourself. They can do that through a photo, like you're speaking of, which is a perfect example. They could do it through sound. They could do it through your 30 minutes of news a day. And to think that people aren't using memes or GIFs, in a specific way. I'm not talking about things that are organically grassroots memes from the internet. There are big think tanks out there that are creating memes and GIFs that you think are your point of view and opinion, but there are minutiae in there that control reasoning and objective reasoning. Ultimately, the goal of all this is to manipulate the behavior of governments, organizations, groups, and individuals. So the second you get an emotional response, that triggers a part of your brain that doesn't allow the other parts to work, to cooperate together. So being aware of your emotional stimulants is being aware of your psychological soundness. And like you said, having a group together, not only can you keep your morale up, make sure each others are physically good, but psychologically, you can remind each other what's important and what not to be affected by. There are most things that are coming out that we should just ignore, be aware of, but don't let manipulate you whatsoever.
Absolutely. And ignoring getting triggered. Here's the thing. People argue all the time, and people get in fights in the chat and otherwise. The thing that we're pushing is not to just that one view is the view, and that if you don't have that view, you're out. That you don't be rude about it. You can talk about anything. Most people, they'll end up getting sarcastic to the point where it's purposely trying to piss the other person off. If they're trying to, they're trying to be nice about it, but they're doing it so sarcastically that it's being a jerk. What we want here is that, you don't have to agree. You can believe the earth is this shape or that shape, or you can believe that they are angels or aliens. It doesn't matter here. The problem is getting triggered. Everybody is getting triggered, and we don't, that is what I think that's what you're trying to communicate. Don't let things trigger you, no matter what it is, and try to go by the facts. Try to wait. Try to be patient on things. We're not patient on anything. That's why we don't wait for body cams. We don't wait for, surveillance. We just jump the gun on everything. And that is what we're being trained to do. So do the opposite, and you'll be much more ahead of everyone around you. I appreciated your call, Justin True, and I really appreciate you calling in after all this time. We missed you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I watch every day, but the callers have been so good and everything's been on point. I didn't feel the need to call in and say anything, but I did feel like this is more of a important message than most people like to admit. I do appreciate your time, brother.
All right, well, Justin True, again, make sure to go check him out. I don't know, are you still creating? Are you still making videos?
Yeah, I am. I not so much on the prepper side. It's more of scripture, but I definitely do updates when it's around my neck of the woods.
Well, we definitely love having you there. So when the next thing happens there, which I hope it doesn't, or I hope it's a good thing, let us know, okay?
Yes, sir. You have a good night, brother.
All right, Justin True. All right, you guys, that was Justin True. Make sure to go over, and it's just J-U-S-T, and then and True, and I believe it's the and sign. But again, we'll put his link on our website, marfooglenews.com. So then every caller, if the caller does have a channel, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily doing YouTube to be a big YouTuber. Some of our viewers, like Justin True, did it to actually communicate what he knows, information, and reach people like he said in the comments, reach one, teach one. And then thank you guys. By the way, 5,000 watching. Thank you, and God bless every person that has tuned in tonight. I don't know how many over on D Live right now, but I know that there's a good amount of you over there. Thank you so much. Chicky R, have you seen Squid Game? Yes. Lisa K, Marf, can you make the fuel shortage a short? Lisa K, already on top of it. I will. By the way, if you guys like the shorts, let me know. Going to be doing that over on News. News has not, the actual channel, if you have not subscribed to Marfoogle News, my main channel, it's almost at 200,000. That's just a silly number, but it does mean a lot because every single one of those is a person. So if we can get that to 200,000, make sure to share it out with people. In return, we will make more content for that channel. We put out 3 shorts yesterday, and I will be putting out shorts tonight. There are some stories that I actually already have lined up. So I will make sure that is one. Renee377, thank you, and God bless. And then Virtual Anna, thank you. Bling and Grammy, Defrustrated, and Cat24, Robert46, and Stony McBlaze a lot. I appreciate you. Says the Earth is shaped like a dinosaur with short arms or long arms. And is its name Blue? You know, from Jurassic Park. Yeah. Southwest Airlines flight cancellations continue into Monday. So I wonder if it's just a really long storm. Maybe the weather just continues to be bad all over the world. Dex, I do want to have you come in here because they first said, there was even articles that said, that the whole country's planes weren't getting off the ground and they literally put that there was bad weather in Florida, and like the writer didn't realize that it looked really stupid. They said basically that they cancel all the flights all over the place because of bad weather in Florida. That was just one example, but most said it was because of a shortage of people and that there was no employees, or that they need more workers, or it was bad weather. We actually know what that is now. Dex is trying to get on. Hold on here.
And I'm here, Adam. Sorry.
So Southwest.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's still going on today, and yet, and I know this article is talking about yesterday, which yesterday's was talking about Sundays, but we're now on day 3 of this this fiasco of there's weather delays, and the percentage, even the cancellations may not be as high today, but they're still significant. There's a lot of people that are upset. But there's still, like, the delays, the percentage of delays is significantly higher for this airline than the rest of the airlines. All of them do not have this problem. It's really, and it really goes to show that there's probably something else going on here.
So the other theory, and the theory is fact nowadays. I mean, I don't understand what's going on here. Now, many people have actually gone public with it. They have gone on other news agencies that, just 10 years ago, you wouldn't even doubt anything on it. But now it's split up to, if it's on this side, that side says it's fake. And if it's on this side, then that side says it's fake. Where we sit is in the middle, looking at both, saying, what the hell? Like, this is common sense. This is fact. We know thousands of people are on Twitter saying that they are not working themselves. They are employees, posting their badges, posting where they work, posting that they are currently out and they're not going back unless they drop rule changes that are forcing them to do something. This is only going to get worse. Now, where this comes into play as well is that, we already have the ships shortage, right? The containers. Nothing's leaving China, possibly going to conflict with China right now, possibly in the very beginning stages right before we go to full-scale conflict. Then we have, of course, the shortage of truckers, and possibly some of that really is people that just don't want to work. They want to stay on unemployment. I don't know. But also we've got that, and now we're going to have a shortage of actual flights carrying cargo, FedEx, everything. Pretty much all supplies that fly through this network. If you ever look at Flight 24 or any of these radar apps, you will, be amazed of how many planes are around the world. And that's not even all of them. That's the ones that are tracked publicly, right? There's thousands and thousands. There's millions of people up in the air highways at any given moment. It's a city in the sky. That's why they call it that. There is roadways, essentially. You'll see these in the sky roadways. When that cuts down and when we start seeing that reduced down to, half or even a quarter less, we will see huge impacts. And that's why people need to get prepared for any kind of scenario. But specifically, everyone should at least be prepared for a week without supplies. Because, something like that is much more likely than a world-ending scenario. We're talking about a week of nothing. The stores didn't get their stuff, and then their suppliers didn't get theirs, and their suppliers didn't get theirs. Something like this will happen. It's not a question of, if it happens. At this point, we have everything stacked on top of each other, and it's happening right now. We have information from, I would say, 40 or 50 sources saying that it's about to get really, really bad. Delaware Sasquatch says, don't forget, synthetic beef is typically created from mashed vegetable proteins. Farms would suddenly become a huge money maker. Well, that would explain why a certain person has invested in them, knowing that if by law they're going to make people eat these vegetable synthetic beef things or not eat it at all, people are going to go over and eat the synthetic vegetable beef. See, it's crazy. What if you knew that you can invest in something that people would be forced to do? That would be that would almost be like inside trading or something. But it's worse than that when you actually own governments and when you are tied in with the evilest people in the planet, on the planet. Michael Merrifield, thank you for joining us. Every new person that joins this channel, I appreciate. I absolutely and incredibly appreciative of you subscribing here tonight. Joseph Newhouse, what the scripture says, of course. Everdays, thank you for subscribing. Again, thank you. Welcome to the Foogle fam. Everybody, welcome Michael Merrifield and Everdazed. And then we've got Rivers Ganan, welcome. Heston Newland just subscribed. And then Cloaked Cloud and Lance Johnson, thank you for subscribing. Elaine Nunez, Nas with a Z, thank you. Herd Bull says, evening and morning and at noon, I will pray and cry aloud, and he shall hear my voice. Psalm 55:17. I love that quote. Susan Donahue says, Dear Adam, Dex, and Mod Squad, with many thanks and much love. Thank you, Susan. I hope you are doing well right now. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for supporting Independent. Susan, thanks for having faith in us when we were going through our hard times. Thank you for being part of the backbone that really supports this channel. So, and then the licensed guru says, Marf, Dex, and Foogle fam, hope you and those nearest to you are well. Jesus is at the door. Crazy time to be alive, but privileged to witness. Buckle up, help yourself and neighbor. Yeah, like Jacob Israel says, buckle up, because it's going to be a wild ride. Americans quit their jobs at a record pace in August. One of America's employers is having trouble filling jobs, was starkly illustrated in a report Tuesday. Americans are quitting in droves. The Labor Department said that quits jumped to 4.3 million in August, the highest on records dating back to December of 2000. And that's up from 4 million in July. Hiring also slowed in August. The report showed that the number of jobs available fell from 10.4 million from a record high of 11.1 million the previous month. So, Dex, first of all, we know that there's tons of jobs out there now. What's going on here?
Well, it certainly seems to be a message, a spin story about why people may be leaving their jobs, is maybe there's greater opportunities, so they're leaving one job for another. But we also know there's this other thing that's sort of looming on everyone's shoulders right now that's coming up at, I think at the end of this month, the beginning of next month, that a lot of people are rationalizing that and what that means to their current position, and do they need to find another line of work, right? So, and then the fact that we actually do have, that, take all that aside, we do have this weird situation where we have, like 11 million jobs and only 8 million unemployed. So there's more jobs than unemployed. So it's kind of crazy.
This has never been like this, where there's a job for every person in the world right now, and people are purposely not working. This quote says, "The jump in quits strongly suggests that the fear," keyword fear, "of the Delta variant is partly responsible for the shortfall in workers." Who put the fear there? As CV surged in August, quits soared in restaurants and hotels from the previous month, and rose other public-facing jobs such as retail and education. Because what is our number one fear over heights and spiders? Is death. Nobody wants to die, and even the most hardened people that just don't believe nothing, in the back of their head, it makes them think. They most of the time they end up thinking about their parents or their elderly parents, thinking. Because people go back and forth. Is this or is it that? Is it even there? Right? But in the back of their head, they think of their loved ones and getting them sick and everything else. And then this is what happens. Somebody who would normally work as a waitress is not going to work as a waitress. They don't want to deal with 100 people a day. They're fearful. They're afraid. Data says that they shouldn't be, but again, it's there. It's scary. When workers quit, it is typically seen as a good sign for the job market, because people usually leave jobs when they already have positions or are confident that they can find one. The large increase in August does not or does include some good news. It likely reflects the fact that with employees desperate for workers and raising wages, many workers feel that they can get better pay elsewhere. So that is a very good thing. As far as getting a regular job with better than what it usually pays, that's out there. Joseph Newhouse says, "I hope everyone will see the video about what Scripture says about heaven that I shared as an upload." Joseph Newhouse, I don't know about everyone, but I will definitely go over and see it. Ms. Holinovich, thank you for subscribing. And James Bowen, welcome to the Foogle fam. As always, if you subscribe during the show, you will get a shout out. Yvonne, thank you. And then if you do, I try to shout people when they're even on replays. Let's see here. The next day. Thank you. AR15, thank you so much for the Ninja Guinea. Says, Virginia running Dem for governor says parents shouldn't have say in kids' education. Oh, no. I mean, it's your child. You shouldn't have, any kind of power or authority over them. They're your child. You physically made them. Why would you be able to control like what they learn or, what they do with their bodies? And like, are you crazy? You're weird, man. Parents having control over their children. It's 2021, man. Come on. Just give your firstborn like everyone else and we'll be fine. They won't shock us anymore. Pelosi doubles down on IRS tracking bank accounts. Oh, so Pelosi is big on this, right? Why do you think they want to do this? So this is like really scary to some people. The fact is, nobody wants everything that they're doing watched. I think somebody needs to put a list of everything just in the last 2 years that we have lost and replaced it with safety, right? We are now losing the ability to even bank without somebody breathing down your neck. Just so you know, Dex, it seem like, is this passed already, or is this going to pass, or like, this is so scary.
No, it hasn't passed yet.
Over $600 in any bank account. So say you're whoever you are, doesn't matter who you are, once your bank account has ever had $600 in it, then the IRS is going to watch every in and every out, every deposit and every withdrawal. What I also don't see is, like, common sense wise, what if you pull $600 out? And I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter. You can pull $30 out. They're still watching that. People think it used to be like the IRS would look at it if you pulled $10,000 in cash out to make sure that it wasn't something weird. Now it's going to be, once your bank account hits $600, so say for a year straight it's at $30, doesn't matter. They're still watching it because it hit $600 at one point. You take $30 out, they're watching you. You put $50 in, they're watching you. Now it is like that. What if you pull, $600 out, you hold it under your pillow for a month, then you put it back in. Then you get kind of iffy, you pull it back out, you put it back in. Are they going to count that? Like, it could open up problems where they think that you have more money than you really do. I don't know. It just seems weird to me that this is, all of these things are happening at the same time, and nobody gets that. Maybe, just maybe, they may be taking every freedom and tracking us down to China levels at the same time as this whole event is going on. It says, despite an outcry from the American public and small banks, the Dems are moving forward with their proposal to track bank accounts, with it looking like the only detail subject to change being the threshold, which is currently $600. So it seems like no matter what, this is going to happen. It says Nancy just doubled down in defending the proposal, dismissing legitimate privacy concerns by stating there are concerns that some people have. But if people are breaking the law and not paying taxes, one way to track them is through the banking measure. I think $600 negotiation will go on as to what that amount is. So if anybody who is barely making it by is making under the table cash, I worked at a place at the Pike Place Market. It's a tourist attraction, right? It's a tourist historical place. Almost everybody down there is under the table. Everybody down there had a debit card, though. They had a bank account. They would put the money in. They would be able to spend it. They were making so little it wasn't even funny. I was making so little it wasn't even funny. And they want to track all of that and take a percentage of that, even though they're not getting insurance, they're not getting all of this, and their employer's not going to. So then they're taxed, their employer isn't. I guess you could say, well, then that they need to get all in the paper and all this, but some jobs are so weird and so little that it just doesn't make sense. Like, setting somebody's stuff up for 3 days a week and then tearing it down and whatever else. It's just, there's these little odd jobs that shouldn't be, in my opinion, that should be like that. I just think this is so unbelievably creepy, and people need to be marching on that. The next big cyber threat isn't ransomware, it's killware. And it's just as bad as it sounds. Even as most Americans are still learning about the hacking for cash crime of ransomware, the nation's top Homeland Security official is worried about an even more dire digital danger: killware, or cyber attacks that can literally end lives. Wow, this is scary as hell, right? Says the Colonial Pipeline ransomware in April galvanized the public's attention because of its consumer-related complications, including long lines at gas stations. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said in an interview on USA's Today's editorial board last week. It says, quote, "There was a cyber incident that very fortunately did not succeed," he added, "and there was an attempted hack of a water treatment facility in Florida. And the fact that that attack was not for financial gain, but rather purely to do harm." So again, I believe we covered this, or unless this is a different one. Dex, is this the same one that we covered where they turned up?
Yes, it's the same one.
So what ended up happening, and we covered this when it actually happened, is what they did is they cyber hacked into the water supply, and they turned up a chemical that is normally already in that water supply, and they turned it to basically lethal levels. And if somebody wasn't sitting in a chair, I guess it was to the point where the guy was sitting there and was about to go on a break. And if he didn't see it, it would have went through, and at least thousands would have been affected. Even what was said by a local newspaper is the guy said that even if he left for 15 minutes, it could have affected thousands of people. He was sitting there. He saw the levels on it go up, manually turned it back down. They were turning chemicals up. And this wasn't to call the company and say, hey, give us $1 million or we're going to keep putting this chemical in. This was putting chemical in to take people out. This was doing it like as a extremely dangerous thing. This is a real thing. And I do believe that this is going to happen at some point. Even if it's a Fantastic Freddy, it's going to happen. And it will probably, who knows, it could be a Fantastic Freddy that ends up changing laws and making things more transparent or invade on privacy on small companies or whatever to protect you from this killware. It says that attack on the Oldsmar, Florida water system in February was intended to distribute contaminated water to residents. And that should have gripped our entire country, Mayorkas said. And it's no surprise that it didn't. USA Today and others reported on that hack, but when it came amid a flurry of reports of other bigger cyber attacks, such as the SolarWinds intrusion of the U.S. government agencies, technology firms like Microsoft, and cybersecurity companies. But Mayorkas and other cybersecurity experts say that the Oldsmar intrusion was just one of many indications that malicious hackers and others increasingly are targeting critical parts of the nation's infrastructure. Everything from hospitals to water supplies to banks, police departments, and transportation in ways that could injure or even kill people. It says the attempted hack of this water treatment facility in February 2021 demonstrated the grave risks that malicious cyber activity posed to the public health and safety. Mayorkas told USA Today in a follow-up exchange. The attacks are increasing in frequency and gravity. The cybersecurity must be a priority for all of us. So I do want to point out that there was a few people that actually said recently, I want to say it was Tucker, that said something that makes a lot of sense. You know, you barely hear real stuff out of the White House, but sometimes the lower level mayors, governor, senators, they'll say something and actually let stuff out. Kind of like the gentleman who tweeted how many soldiers, we had 30,000 soldiers in Taiwan. Then, because, of course, we're not supposed to have them there, immediately retracted it, said, oh, that was a typo, this and that. And then later on, about a couple of months later, we found out that, yeah, it was true. That we do have soldiers there, right? And they even minimized it and said that there wasn't. China knew that that was a lie. Sometimes they come out with the real stuff. Mayors and the senator, I want to say, not Arkansas, Arkansas or Alabama. One of these guys just said like last week that there are more of these coming, and said that everyone needs to pay attention to cyber attacks because now it's going on to very, very serious infrastructure. Now this gentleman is saying it and saying that our infrastructure is being hit. Meanwhile, of course, the White House isn't putting out warnings. You know, nobody's talking about this. Why? I do like the point that they made here, and it said this should have gripped the nation. This should have gripped the whole country, but it didn't. It should have. This is why I highly suggest don't drink your tap water. You know, unfortunately, you can't even say, oh, buy bottled water or whatever, because There was a tax on these water bottling companies where they were, don't be afraid of stuff. But again, I'd get a filter, get a water filtration setup, something that can actually filter the water. Joni Ferris, thank you for subscribing. Gabriel Alvarez, thank you for subscribing as well. Welcome to the Foogle fam, guys. Really nice to have you here. And then over on D-Live, thank you, and thank you. Amanda Rachel says they could pass that, then issue everyone stimulus. They could pass that, then issue everyone stimulus. Yeah. Oh, I get what you're saying. If they pass that, then they'll give us money, right?
Well, you'll reach the threshold, and then everyone will be in it.
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
They're saying if they pass the $600 IRS thing and then gave everybody in the country $600 into their accounts, then everybody would instantly be in.
Gosh, that is genius. Did you hear what she just said? Amanda Rachel, that is extremely, extremely smart. Didn't even think about that. Notice how the $600 was the amount that they were giving in the stimulus. So once you get the Banking for All Act, if you didn't know, by the way, if you want to see something creepy, this does line up. Oh, by the way, High Impact got hit for this, and it was a video that was just about this act, and I'm going to show it on screen here. Look at this. Okay, so just keep this in mind when you're thinking about what they're talking about with this new thing. It's all incremental. They do it in little tiny pieces. It's like they'll put the corner of they'll put all the wall pieces of the puzzle up, right? You can see the frame. You can see where everything is going to go. This we saw this last year. We saw this last year. It says, introduced in Senate to require member banks to maintain pass-through digital dollar wallets for certain persons, blah, blah, blah. The Banking for All Act essentially wants everyone to have a bank account. It says that essentially that a lot of people, a huge percentage of people do not have a bank account. And it says the bill requires Federal Reserve member banks to provide digital pass-through accounts, i.e. digital dollar wallets or bank accounts, to residents and citizens and to businesses domiciled in the United States. Among other things, these accounts must provide specified banking services to eligible persons who elect to deposit funds into these accounts, including access to CV payments, aid payments. These accounts may not charge fees or have balance requirements and must provide a specified interest rate. It says in areas with limited access to Federal Reserve member banks, these banks must partner with postal retail facilities to provide services. So you can go to the post office, I guess? Yeah. That's literally you could go to the post office and get your aid money or something. Federal Reserve banks must permit state non-member banks and credit unions to open master accounts for the purpose of offering digital pass-through accounts. So when you combine that with that, every person having a bank account, which is the goal, and then every person gets a stimulus check, which, by the way, no requirements. They just want to give it to you. They're setting it up now. So when this does pass, everybody gets $600. You get $600. Look under your chair. There's $600. $600. Pew, pew, pew. $600. Everybody. That is such a tiny amount. They're so sad that people can be bought for $600. Boom. People have, by the way, this also sways people. The $600, $1,200, $1,800, even if it's $5,000, don't let them buy your opinion and the future of this country over freaking. Yeah, actually, that's good. What do you call that? The slip, Freudian slip. This country, same thing, right? They let people will now, vote for certain sides because they think, oh, we'll get more free money. It's just so crazy. Everything is going to be tracked.
My name is Tom Homan. I'm the former ICE director under President Donald Trump, and I'm here to ask America to wake up. You can protect yourself, and at the same time protect this great nation. The threat of electromagnetic pulse is real, EMP. If you don't know what it is, look it up. It's a matter of life and death. I recently partnered with a Midwest company, veteran-owned, that has developed a device you can hook up to your home or your vehicle to protect you against an EMP. I highly encourage you to go to EMPshield.com and research this device. Again, it will protect you, in the long term, protect this great nation. Thank you.
All right, and so we show that Tom Homan, former ICE director, of course, talks about EMP Shield. EMP Shield was also mentioned in the EMP resilience report done by the DHS. That was when they told us every United States citizen to get 6 months to a year worth of food for the possibility of course, for the possibility of a full-scale EMP or a CME knocking out our entire grid. Combine this with everything going on this winter, but exciting news. So we are probably the only ones that have really pushed hard for these contests to be done. Again, EMP Shield is doing a contest directly and specifically for Marfoogle News family, for the Marfoogle fam. The reason why is we know that a lot of people cannot afford these, and people need this protection. I feel that people absolutely 100% need to have this. My view is that this should be part of code, just like if you don't have a railing on stairways that you can't rent the house out. I think you shouldn't be able to rent a house that doesn't have this kind of protection. I think every house in the country should have this. I think every generator should be sold with one. I should think every car should have this kind of protection built in. Because when an EMP happens, it's going to destroy this country. When a CME happens, it's going to. But guess what? There's a device for that. This is literally backed up and used by the military. They have contracts with DHS, DOD, and of course, now they're on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. You can protect yourself. You can protect your generator. You don't have to put your generator or your house in a huge Faraday cage. It's not possible, right? Are you going to put a fence around your entire house? No. So again, you can actually wire this into different, there's different devices for different things, and protect yourself against all three phases of an EMP, E1, E2, and E3. It can also protect you against lightning if it's for your house or anything else, and it can protect against the CME, a Carrington-level event, which will happen. It's not if, it's when. It happens on average every 150 years. We're already at 160 years after the last one in 1859. So remember that, marfooglenews.com/EMP. And right now, again, there's $50 off on every device. If you get multiples, you will get $50 off per device when you use our code. But check this out. There is right now a contest. So you can actually go to our website. You can fill it out, or you can go to, of course, marfooglenews.com/EMP. Let me see here. Just make sure that we got this. And so essentially what this is the contest is that they have already, this is their last one. They told us this is our last one because we have pushed them to do more contests. Almost every time they give out 3 devices. They have given out over $10,000 worth of EMP shields just to the Foogle fam alone. That is $10,000 worth of equipment to the Foogle family. We've done 9 contests. This is the last one that they said that they would do. They're doing it because they really do care about the Foogle fam. So again, there's nothing required. There's no, there's no purchase required to enter this, and that's why, again, I hope that everyone ends up doing it. Dex, the other one. Hold on. Let's see here. I'm going to try reloading this, but the contest one did not do. But here's on the website. You just go to the link. You will see it's actually specifically to us. So if I reload this, there were already 77 entries by the beginning of the show, and we didn't even announce it yet. So people need to get over there and try to get in on this. Right after 341 total entries during this show. So there's 22 days left. You can enter every day. That's the coolest coolest part about this. So they're giving 3 EMP shields. These things are not cheap, but they're also not, they are the official way to do this. This is the right way to do this. So if you actually want real protection against this, not some other thing that says it does it and fails it in the thing, this is military tested by Keystone. This is in buildings that we probably can't even enter as citizens. So again, go check it out. EMP Shield. Again, marfooglenews.com/EMP. All right. Yeah. Dex, definitely got to get over there and do that.
Adam.
Yes.
Okay, so just trying to give you an update. The best way for people to find this link is the first link in the description. The first link in our description on YouTube is directly to the show notes of this page, and you'll be able to get to the contest every time.
Yep, and you can actually put your full name in. You can do all that stuff right there, and it goes right into EMP Shield. So let's go to our next caller. It looks like we are going to be talking about biggest cyber attack in history right after. Let's get Murphy's Law on. Banks borrowing from the Federal Reserve, China and the U.S., potential for conflict, and bankers are to blame. Murphy's Law.
Hi, Adam.
Hey, you're live on Marfoogle News. What's going on?
Hey, hello, Foo Fam. And can you just put a D in the chat room to give it up for our Dex? Because we love Dex, right?
Yep. So, D in the chat.
Adam, you realize that there is a little bit of a delay, and I never mean to be rude to you and talk over you, but I want to take everybody in a trip in a time machine, right? So I have a theory, and I may be wrong, and that's okay too, right? But I want to take everybody back to 2008. So what happened in 2008, right? We had a financial market crash. And, look at all the D's. I love the Foo Fam, right? So we had a financial crash. Why did we have that crash? Okay, so the banking industry was, for every $1 that we put in the bank, they could loan out $10. So, the devil needed his due in 2008 because they essentially made money out of thin air. So when Obama got in, right, and of course we paid all those, crazy fees. People were getting like $1 million just for being a CEO. So after them loaning out, $10 essentially from thin air, Obama said, let's kick the can down the road. And now I'm going to let you loan out $100 for every $1 pure Americans put in the bank. So don't you know, the devil came to get his dues. In September of 2019, what a lot of people didn't realize is that the Federal Reserve was loaning the bank system $600 billion a week. Oops, did we miss that? I think we missed that, right? So, it was a bailout, right? And usually when banks have to zero out every 24 hours, they got to borrow from each other. And that's fine. So I did a show back in March this year, and I read all this stuff on air, and so it's there. But here's the thing. In October of 2019, we had two things that went on. October 18th through 27th was the military games. Where were they held? In the Wuhan of China, right? So we had like over 100 countries that went and showed all their military brawn and, hey, I'm this, I'm that. And like right before that, you know, they did the 5 to the G. They sparked that up. But however, in October of 2019, what else happened? Event 201. Really odd because, you know, they put the bankers in there. Everybody was like, hey, how you doing? We're all involved. So if I was an evil genius, okay, and what's the most lucrative business in the world? War. Absolute war. Bankers finance both sides of every war. They always have, and they always will. So if a little nasty was released, say, during the military games, we said it came from China, and China said that America released it. And essentially, both countries are right. So we financed it, we put it over there, and we created it over here. So both countries are right. But if I really wanted, if I was desperate and I really needed money and I didn't want the world to know that it was just really evil, what would I do? I would throw something nasty into the mix. I would throw something like this into something like the military games. So you infect 10,000 military people and send them all back to the country, right? Nobody's the wiser. China is pointing a finger at America. America's pointing the finger at them. And who gets away scot-free? The bankers, right? So the bankers
they're all in
know
cahoots.
that we're going to be pointing the fingers, and we are going to end up in some kind of conflict. So like you've been saying for like a really long time about the, they're putting Western, all Western stuff over there. And so we are getting ready for a conflict. But who stands to benefit? Okay, so America would never benefit by releasing something like that over there. And China would never benefit by releasing it. See, we got friends. We have allies, right? So if we did something that publicly, we wouldn't want to hurt Japan. We wouldn't want to hurt Taiwan or anybody else, right? So if we had an attack, a personal attack, it would be to one country, to one group, and we wouldn't harm our friends. So neither America or China are either, both. We're not responsible. Who stands to gain the most? What's the motive? The bankers, because they failed. They have literally been loaning out, creating money out of thin air for years and years and years. That can's been kicked down the road, and the devil needs his due. In September of 2019, and you guys can go look at my show because I did this in March. I read all this stuff. Literally September of 2019, guess what happened? JP Morgan also took 57% of his assets off the market. So this is a banker's war, like every war usually is, right? And I'm just saying, neither of us did it. I don't Look, I have a small channel. I might have 12 people in my chat room. I confess I'm always in the bad girl's corner. So I got to shut up for 90 days to get rid of, like 2 strikes. You have a bigger channel, and I've called into other shows and said no. If anybody released the Vias, it's the bankers. They have the most to gain, and there's the motive. There's all that. So, guys, China is not our enemy. There's very good people in that country, just like there's very good people here. And neither of us did it. And the whole world suffered. But think about it. If the banks screwed up, the whole world's economy could have been dashed down, right? So, what better thing in the world to blame it on than a virus, right? So, yeah.
Murphy,
they can cover up that they screwed up.
We're about 3 minutes over time, so just wanted to give you a chance to finish up.
Okay. Fam, I love you, but if we get into a conflict, just know America didn't do it. China didn't do it. Who did it was the bankers, and people are for sale, so mercenaries, whatever. But this was released in the Wu, during the military games, and that's how it got all over the world.
We can't make claims that we.
I love you, Fam.
We can't back up though. I don't think. I think we know that. I think we know that it's not the official story. That's for sure. Murphy's Law, again, with the families and the bankers backing up both sides, absolutely. And I tried to pull up some references to what you were saying. Again, we still need to get to the last caller. I appreciate you, Murphy's Law, and thank you so much for calling in. Okay?
I love you, Adam.
Well, we love you too.
Give us a D for Dex. Love you guys. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. By the way, I popped into chat myself. I just have to remind people that it doesn't matter who's on, to be respectful. And then also, one thing to think about, I think that other people also call other people trolls. Don't call people trolls unless they're like super just over the top. The thing is people come in, they are used to chats all over the internet, and, that's considered trolling. Some people might just be disagreeing. So when you call somebody a troll, they're going to get defensive. They're going to feel 5,000 people looking at them like they're a jerk. And then there's no getting that person out of that troll thing, right? The person, if somebody is muted in our chat, don't take it personally. Just sit for 5 minutes and wait, come back in. Nobody's going to notice. There's 5,000 people in the chat. It just let it go, let it scroll by. Everybody takes it so personally, like it's something that, there's malice behind it. If you get muted, you get muted. Just mute out. If there's a rule violation, the thing is, people go, "Oh, free speech." It's not free speech. I own this channel. I own the channels, right? It's like going into somebody's living room. Basically, think of this as my house, my personal house. If you came into my house, don't put your foot up on my coffee table. I have the right to kick you out of my house. If you came in screaming swear words inside my house, I'd go, okay, you have freedom of speech, but do it outside my house. You know what I'm saying? It's not like a freedom of speech thing. It's my house rules, and I ask that everybody be respectful of everyone else. That's all. But also calling somebody a troll, that can have negative effects too, because then that person, that screen name stuck with them. They come in, they're always going to be hated as a troll, right? So there's no turning that. Some of the best people in the chat right now came in and did troll things, or they said this person's stupid or blah, blah. They didn't know the rules. They didn't know that was the rules. So again, just let's give everybody a chance. We usually give everybody 3 chances. If it's in one show and they keep doing it, that's how you actually get banned. But even then, I've called people personally. even though there's 200,000 people out there watching. I've called people personally and heard their side of the story. So it's not easy to do. So again, try to keep that in mind. Russian warships fire missiles in massive show of strength as Putin sends chilling warning to Japan amid WW3 fears. People should wake up to this. I mean, things are happening all over the world, and it's not just this. It is drills like she just mentioned in that last call. I forgot about that. The games, I did not know from that piece of article that I pulled up. It says that they are most commonly referred to Wuhan games, and it's the world's military, and 10,000 people, 12,000 soldiers then go to their world bases all over the place. That was actually a pretty smart connection there. So great job, Murphy's Law. And then I don't know if that was in October, right before everything started. Just nuts. And then it says Russia has staged a military show of strength by firing missiles off its warships near Japan after Tokyo claims sovereignty over the disputed Kuril Islands. So is this like Russia's way of like saying, hey, China claimed those too and we got their back? I don't know, but that's freaking scary. If I was in Japan, I'd be freaked out. It says, referring to the southern Kurils by the Japanese name, new Prime Minister Fumio Kishida told Parliament that the sovereignty of our country extends to the northern territories. It is necessary to resolve the issue of territories, not leaving it to the next generations. Do you know what that's, Dex, do you know what that quote is? I'm going to say that again. It is necessary to resolve the issue of territories, not leaving it to the next generations. And I want to point that out, that Japan thinks about their next generations. They think about their kids. They think about their grandkids. And I've said it always, they'll sign a check for $1 trillion for their great grandkids, even if it doesn't benefit their current generation. They're all about family. They're all about generational wealth. They're all about the people that will take on the throne after them. Dex, what do you think about that? It is necessary to resolve the issue of territories, not leaving it to the next generations. What is he saying?
They're not waiting. They want to get this resolved immediately, not put it off, right?
They're doing this during our lifetime. They're doing it now. Video has emerged of Russia's Pacific Fleet highlighting its firepower in the Sea of Japan, a display seen as a welcome message for the new Japanese leader. That's freaky. Okay, so first of all, those quotes, though, saying this isn't going to be the next generation's war. This is going to be our generation's war right now. Jim Brady, thank you for joining us. Big deal. Thank you for supporting. Again, thank you. Make sure to say what's up to Big Deal in the chat. Thank you for
15.
supporting.
15 left.
Thank you so much. We have Microsoft warns it just blocked the biggest cyber attack ever from 70,000 computers across Asia. Dex, do you want to sum this up in a minute or less?
Yeah. So we've seen these DDoS attacks, denial of service attacks. They come from lots of computers. But to see one coming from this many, and apparently they're saying this is the largest ever. The other interesting thing is they're definitely pointing out that a lot of the traffic coming from this DDoS attack was coming from China. So this is directly at Microsoft and coming from Asian areas, but specifically China.
Now, again, this was blocked. There's a ton of other stuff that is attached to this. We'll probably go over in tomorrow's show. Let's get our next caller on. First, I do want to say retired Marine colonel says U.S. should weigh nuclear war with China over Taiwan. This is, of course, from the view of a retired colonel. It says the U.S. government, and let's get Murley on the phone. I believe I said that. Melry, first-time caller, calling about... I'm sorry to hear that. Let's get Murley on. The U.S. government needs to make clear that Americans will fight back or risk nuclear war on Taiwan's behalf. A former Marine and consultant on Asian defense matters said Tuesday. It says, quote, make it clear to the Chinese leaders that they will lose everything if they start a war over Taiwan. Retired U.S. Marine Colonel Grant Newsham, a senior researcher with the Japanese Forum for Strategic Studies in Tokyo, wrote an email to Stars and Stripes. I doubt that that's the view of everybody, especially in this admin. Dex, Melry.
Adam
Hi.
Melry's live.
Hi, Adam.
Hi, what's going on, Melry?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi. First of all, Adam and Dex. But mainly, Adam, I'm a little nervous right now because this is my first time calling to your show. I never thought I was going to get through this quickly. I've been watching you ever since you started in your car and through your cell phone. You've been amazing. You've grew so much. You're very professional. I love your shows. I try to watch them every day, reruns, or try to do lives. The last video that I saw with you was that the one with the guy, the female account, that interview that you did. And then if it wasn't for you, you told us about the maskies. I got prepared, thankfully, and I told my family to get prepared as well. And thanks to you, we never knew that was going to come months after you had told us to prepare. It's awesome. I just love listening to your show. And I'm very happy. I mean, I'm still kind of minor because I just listen every day that I can. I feel like I am part of the family, even though I don't type anything or don't text anything. But technically, my call is, I would like to ask the fam for prayers, lots of prayers. I'm divorced from my children's father. They're 4 girls and they're grown. And he passed away on October the 6th. So they're barely in the process of doing all the gathering of the money for their father's funeral. They're very devastated. It's very hard to go through because he was kind of like away and then he came back. But once he came back, now he's gone again.
So
he was 54.
And
he was 54.
When you say he went away, he went away somewhere for a while?
Yes, he passed away. Yeah, he went away. We got separated, so he distanced himself from my children, and then all of a sudden he just started to come back one by one back in their lives.
And you guys, you had custody. You had custody, I assume.
Yes, I always had full custody of my children. I raised my children all by myself. Now I have 9 grandkids and 1 on the way again. So to get to my point is that I'm going to try to do a video about what's going on in our lives, hopefully right after his burial. What happened is that he got sick with this, I could say maybe sickness of the Carl Victor sickness.
Yes, perfect.
He was kind of okay. And I actually spoke to him a couple of days, and he was doing fine. And all of a sudden, he got worse. He just got worse. And unfortunately, he didn't make it. It took him almost less than 2 weeks for him to be where he was. I would not wish, not even to my worst enemy or anybody, for them to go through what they went through at the hospital, if I can just say that.
Can I ask, did he have other stuff that was happening before that?
No underlying conditions, no nothing. He was just okay, and all of a sudden felt sick and went in and didn't come out.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you. I'm my personal opinion, anybody, I think we could try. Please keep in mind, if I can quote it, please keep in mind, try any other alternatives if you can, for God's means. Because also I feel bad for another family because it was so coincidental that 2 of them, which includes my ex-husband, went away at the same time. I mean, exactly the same way. So I felt for the other family. So I also begged for prayers for both both their family and my family, which is my daughters and my grandkids, and also their family on his side. This P. Dinico, if I can say that, is the worst thing that can ever happen to anybody. And after that, my children and the widow now got with a $30,000 amount to raise for a funeral, because supposedly that I know of, that when somebody passes away quickly, the prices are a little bit higher rather than paying for that in advance.
Well, yeah.
So $30,000 to raise in less than a week, or in about a week, that is so hard. We had to do a GoFundMe as well. If anybody in there was part of the GoFundMe, I want to say God bless you. Thank you so much for helping us out, helping my girls out, and their family and the other side of the family for that help. I'm going to try to do. We had to close out the GoFundMe because they had to pay for the full funeral so it could be done this Thursday and Friday. They had to close out the GoFundMe today, so they can process, the money to go to his funeral.
So I know.
I'm going to try to open up a little smaller one. Every penny counts. I mean,
again,
it's not very much, but hopefully. Yes, I'm sorry.
I don't mean to. The show's just going to end up cutting on your call. I don't mean to be rude, and especially on the subject that we're talking about, especially. There was one question that was really big. What was he protected, as they say, right? Was it?
Yeah, no, we do not agree with that type of
protection.
Daddy, Brookie, Shoddy, whatever.
Yeah. We all know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, again, I didn't want to
agree with that, and no, he wasn't.
I didn't want to cut you off again as well. There are so many, but we will link information for the stuff we don't. Unfortunately, we had a lot of things with GoFundMe. There is a Christian company, it's like Give Send Go. That you might want to look into.
Oh, okay.
There's a Christian company. It's called Give Send Go. It's the same one that Veritas uses. I would highly recommend looking into that, because now the nickname for the GoFundMe is GoFraudMe. So again, thank you for calling in.
Okay, wow, I would have known. Yeah, but I'll try that. Thank you so much. The most important thing for my family is just the prayers. Please, lots of prayers. Thank you so very much for taking the time to listen to my call.
All right, well, ma'am, much respect, and I'm praying for you. In Jesus' name, please bless you and your children, and I hope that you can recover from that loss, and it is an all of a sudden loss, and no matter how close or far away somebody like that is, it is never, ever easier. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful night. That was Mel Ree. There is not enough time. We did basically hit this. The submarine hitting something, I made a comment. I said, this is a multi-billion-dollar thing. It should be able to see it. Dex, can you just basically summarize how the heck did that thing hit something when it has radars and things everywhere?
Well, apparently this happens more frequently than we know. I don't know that this is the explanation specifically for that, but it definitely goes into some of the scenarios of what has happened and what can happen. So pretty lengthy article if you guys want to go read and learn more about it. And of course, we'll continue to monitor what's happening with that captain.
Thank you, Dex, for your service tonight. Basically, down here, web-only content. Dex has added this other part here. So we've added all of the news that basically is too hot for TV down here. There's an entire show. Dex, wouldn't you say that especially today's show is absolutely crazy down there?
Absolutely. If you've never gone to the website and to look at web-only content, well, now's the time to go to get to the contest. And I know a lot of you have already done it because there's 762 now. But right below that is the web-only content. It's the rest of the show. So while you're there, check out everything else you're missing. MarfoogleNews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show. It's right there. Scroll down.
And Dex does the calls live and then adds the information live. So it looks like he's still updating. Again, Justin True, his channel is there. Murphy's Law channel is there. So if you want to go watch either of their videos, if you agreed with them, disagreed with them, whatever it may be, go over and check them out. And then again, there are links all over as far as if you do want to support us, there's ways to do it, folks. We are independent. Again, we don't have support of anybody else. You are our backbone. People like Cynthia Lynn, Gone Girl, 777, thank you for your massive support. Again, thank you for everybody that has supported tonight's show. Sheila Amos says, please Oogle Awakening map. By the way, I wouldn't Oogle that because I wouldn't suggest that because I would go over to DuckDuckGo, Great Awakening map. By the way, they're just getting rid of people that do that. By the way, I just heard Robert David Steele died. I did not know, about a month ago. I watched the last 2 videos on his channel. Absolutely nuts. Dex, do you remember we were going to try it? We were going to like get him on the show at some point. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Same with another person. So they're just people are just disappearing. So I'm praying for everybody out there. Love all of you guys. Thank you on both platforms tonight. Thank you, and thank you. Moxie71, thank you for the massive support tonight. Hashling and Slasher on D-Live. I love Dashhounds. Cha Money, thank you for hosting me. Thank you so much for everybody that has been gifting, of course, Marfia badges over there. Thank you for the top 3. I will... of course, make sure to join us over on Marfoogle Jams. If this show cuts out, Dex, we probably are cutting out, or did we already?
We got a couple minutes left, and then we'll be cutting out and head over to Marfoogle Jams.
Yes, make sure to subscribe to Marfoogle Jams. Thank you, everybody, if you do want to continue to hear my corny, weird music. It is now time for the shoutro. It's where I say thank you to the people that matter most, you. Anybody in chat will have a fun time. FJB. I said FJB and it's JAB. I said FJB and it's JAB. I said FJB and it's JAB. FJB. I said FJB and it's JAB. FJB. I said FJB and it's JAB. I said FJB and it's JAB. I said FJB and it's JAB. FJB. Everybody going on CeeLo. Don't bring it on letting us see. Styling season 22. A 10-4 hat in the Mr. Man 2. Hello. I said Doris White with the eternal sunny. Dora Flore, it's so funny. Murphy's Law, thanks for the call, honey. Honey, go back down on now. Letitia Stone. Jago, B.L. Susan Clue, I do. Susan Donahue, don't bear too. One on me and a Mrs. Mom. Pizza guy and the jewels mom. Everybody misses like girl. Bring it down and buy her a new pumpkin with a Carol Reed, a King Curtis and a Mr. Steve. Stormy 7572. Do what you do. Eternal Sunday. Go on point and going back down. Michael St. Jude, I bring it back down to you. I got the juicy handsome. Bring it back on all you handsome. I said FJB and it's JAB. I said FJB and it's JAB. FJB. I said That's a funky one.